I'd like to call this meeting of the Festus City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Boyer,
Here.
Councilman Underwood, Councilwoman Templeton. Here. Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Councilman Dennis. Councilman Benz,
Here.
Councilman Cook,
Here.
Councilman Tenen.
We do have a quorum. Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. And I would ask that if you're wearing a hat, would you please remove your hat in the council chambers? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Tonight, total bills are $594,581.73.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Councilman Benz,
Yes.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Tenen,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton. Yes. Councilman Underwood,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer.
Yes.
The consent agenda has passed. Remarks of visitors. Chief Lewis.
Thank you for your time. On March the 4th, Officer Davis responded to a horrible traffic accident on southbound 55 at the Veterans Street Veterans Overpass. The driver was coming south in a pickup truck, lost control, hit a van, ricocheted off the van, hit a semi, and then proceeded to roll over several times, ejecting the driver. When the officers got on the scene, the driver had extensive injuries, including a partially severed left arm. This man, along with a Crystal City officer, somehow got a tourniquet on this guy's, what was left of his arm. Something that's not an easy feat because it's not something they train you to put a tourniquet where something doesn't exist. Because of his life-saving measures, I received a letter from JPAD, and through JPAD was also told that the hospital at Barnes said that that was critical in that man's survival. He'd have never made the airline flight to Barnes Hospital if they hadn't applied that tourniquet to him. So I just want you to know what kind of officers you have that when, I always say, when the bear is knocking at the door, somebody's going to step up and do what's necessary. And this officer right here is definitely a shining example of what they do. And I want to congratulate him and give him our life-saving award for a job well done.
Thank you, Chief. Do we have any remarks of visitors? Any others?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go right into the bids. Bids of Public Works Maintenance Building Roof.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. Before you tonight, I'm requesting approval for the refurbishment of the old corrugated roof that's over the maintenance building, the maintenance shed between the office building and the new shed we built for the sewer equipment, the Vector trucks. This is an item that was brought to our attention, staff's attention last year when we had our annual inspection with our insurance company, and they gave us a year to work something out and get it repaired. That's what we've done. We've gone to market and we've tried to find a solution. It's a little cheaper than, it's quite a bit cheaper than replacing the roof. This refurbishment is similar to the products you see on TV, that stuff they paint on the bottom of a screen door in a boat, you know, and they take it out on the lake. It's kind of like that. So they'll end up putting a surface like that on top of the existing roof after they clean it and take the dents and stuff out of it. So If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
What was the bid? I'm sorry.
So and there's a typo in the report here. The actual amount of the materials is $35,674. We're going to purchase the materials directly. And then the labor, the low bid there, I'm sorry, the low bid was the labor at $35,674. The cost of materials was $63,826. So the total project is actually $99,500.
What did we budget? I don't recall that.
60.
being- I'm sorry.
60.
Where's the other?
So if you look at the staff report, what we're recommending here is that the 39,500 would come from reserve water sewer and T-tax funds.
So if you're wondering what the delta was, the delta is the cost of labor and materials have changed substantially since we got our original cost estimate to fix the roof.
My only concern is there's been a couple of items, if I can recall off the top of my head, that we've gone over already on Public Works. Are we comfortable with
We're
this?
comfortable. Now, the cost of labor, obviously, there's some material costs that have gone up. We're saving some money by purchasing the materials direct as opposed to having the contractor provide it. They're going to, have 10 to 15% markup in there possibly. So here we're just paying for the labor, but unfortunately, the labor is considerably more than it was, say, in June or July of last year when we were putting together some estimates for the budget.
And sorry, that can be split though from several departments since it's a Public
Yes.
Works building. So water can chip in. Okay.
Transportation.
Okay.
I think at the end of the day, Mike, we looked at one, getting dinged on it on our recent review. It's not a bad ding. And if you saw in my report, our recent assessment was actually pretty good. But it needs to get done. The roof looks terrible. It doesn't function very well. The total cost of trying to go back with a new roof is nearly 3 times this amount. So we can either do it now and get it done with, or we can go ahead and or we can push it to next fiscal year, but it's going to need to get done.
Is there additional damage or wear and tear, or what they're going to do will take care of the rust? I would just hate to see us spend the money in 2-3 years down the road, this old rusty roof,
It's got a 10-year warranty.
but on the whole, or their work to it, or the roof itself. That's my
The entire
structurally.
process. So the refurbishment of the roof is warranted for, defects in materials or workmanship for 10 years.
And if we do some maintenance on it and we make sure that they do their annual inspections, we can actually extend it another 10 or 15 years. But, that's one of those things that relies on councils and staff well beyond our years. So I didn't put it in my staff report.
You brought up a good point. Since this is something different, I tried to read as much as I can about it. I still don't understand it. Is our staff trained to do maintenance on this and to look at this since it's a different type of roofing we're going with?
In my experience with this firm, with Garland, they come in and do the inspections every year, free and gratis. So they'll let us know if there's a problem. So no, my staff doesn't have to do anything different than what they've done.
Is there any other discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bid of $99,500 to have from Leak Stoppers and Festus.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Tenen,
Yes.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Benz,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Underwood,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer.
Yes.
It has passed.
Thank you, sir.
Next on the agenda is 2022 concrete pad replacement project. Staff report.
Well, we did a little bit better on this one, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. Our budget for this project, as you might recall, was $760,000. That we have a low bid, Kimes Contracting, for $682,000 that we'd like to award. As Mr. Dollar's memo illustrates, we're requesting a not to exceed amount for that budget amount so that, again, since we're working with concrete, we get in there and we have a pad next to it and it busts or it chips or it cracks. I don't want to be in a position where I'm telling the homeowner that that pad's going to be gone, broken, or deficient until the next council meeting when I can get a change order approved or an extension. So what I'm hoping that you all will trust me with is an allowance to spend a little bit more when we have those problems come up. If there's a stormwater issue that's adjacent, that's been the reason for the failure. Let's fix the doggone stormwater while we've got the hole opened up. That's really what I'm asking for, folks, is to spend the money we intended to on the purpose that it was intended, because we got such a good bid.
Is there any
I
discussion?
apologize.
Go ahead.
If you open that hole up and it turns out something bigger, I don't want to go over what we budgeted though, because,
Right, we will not exceed the budget. You're right.
okay, thank you.
Not to
Yep, sorry.
exceed. And we're catching a break. Kimes is also the low bidder that we just got concurrence on from on our MoDOT project for South Mill. So they're going to be in town. So they're going to be spending a lot of time in Festus over the next 4 or 5 months.
Is there any other discussion? Yes, ma'am.
There will be engineering fees as well, excuse me, that will need to be taken into account. So I'm not sure exactly how much that is yet, but it will need to be taken into account for both of these.
We have, since Adam Jones with Cochrane will already be in the area for the STP project, he gave us an estimate of inspection fees not to exceed roughly $5,000. We'll have an exact number. If it goes in excess of 5,000, we'll bring that to council.
Is that in addition to the 760?
No, it'll be part of the 760.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to approve a bid of $682,247.30 from Kimes Contracting for concrete pad replacement. Motion's been made,
Second.
seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Underwood,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Benz,
Yes.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Tennant.
Yes. Motion has passed.
Thank you, sir.
We can get some concrete and start fixing the streets. And next on the, for the bids from Public Works is bids for pounds well pumps. Staff report.
Yes, sir. Mayor, council, a bit of a long way around here. If you read the staff report, we originally looked at wanting to replace one of the well pumps or refurbish one of the well pumps at Pounds Road and the other one at the Twin Tank location. But Jim Tyndall, who of course maintains these on a regular basis, really feels that the 2 pumps at Pounds are more of a priority. Twin can wait another year. So we did go back and asked the 3 bidders if they would also give us a price on doing both pumps at Pounds Road. The low bid on that turned out to still be the same. That was Illinois Electric at $15,867.90. We budgeted $40,000 for this, so the total cost of the replacement of the 2 at Pounds Road would be $31,735.80.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to purchase 2 pumps for the Pounds Road. $31,735.80 from Illinois Electric.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Tennant,
Yes.
Councilman Benz,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Underwood, Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner.
Yes.
Motion has passed. We can purchase the pumps. Next on the agenda, we have ordinances and resolutions. I believe it's ordinances only. Tonight, we have Bill 4674 on the agenda. Would the clerk please read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 4674, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute an easement and maintenance agreement with the Twin City Mall Community Improvement District and the Twin City Real Estate Corporation for stormwater improvements and establishing an effective date.
Staff report.
As you may recall, we've been talking for a little while about the large drainage structure that basically runs off of South Third Street, runs through the Twin City Mall and into Crystal City. It is two large 8-foot culverts that drain all the way back to Interstate 55. Crystal City has been working with the developer since the development is entirely in Crystal City, but the entrance to the storm drains are in Festus. They've been able to work out some amendments to their community improvement district that then incorporates the lion's share of the cost of this project entirely being borne by the contractor. But as we had talked about previously, there is some cost share in here. There's also some maintenance in here, not to exceed amounts. The total cost share for the two communities is $300,000. The total maintenance cost share is $100,000, and that's over the duration of the CID agreement. The good part about this is our good friends at the county that Mr. Cook works with have been able to secure funding through the Department of Natural Resources that will cover a huge chunk of the $300,000 for this project, about $236,000. So the balance of that would be then split by Festus and Crystal. This is the agreement that basically puts this all together. Crystal has already passed their portion. This is just for us to be able to get rolling with its R.L. Jones, the developer there, so that they can get rolling on this project. And the good part about the agreement, if you read into it, there is a drop dead date. So the work has to get started, it has to get done, or the funding pieces of this, at least as far as our cost share, goes away.
Craig, would that open up that road there?
Potentially, yes. Now that closure there on Third Street was due mainly because of the structure of the culverts there. And we would have to have that re-inspected, but you would expect that if you're going to put new stuff under the street, that the street would be able to reopen. Yes.
So that's a huge drain. There's been so much water that goes through that. And I know it's in disrepair, and it's been in disrepair for a long time. And Mike, Councilman Cook, thank you so much for helping to get this come to fruition, because the whole downtown area basically relies on that drain to be intact. And without it, this whole area would be in a bad state of affairs. So I thank you for that personally, for doing it.
Is there any other discussion? I'd like to suspend the rules. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and read Bill 4674 for the second time in title only?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing,
I apologize, Mr. Mayor. I need to abstain because my office oversees the grant. So I need to abstain, sir.
hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please read Bill 4674 for the second time?
Bill number 4674, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute an easement and maintenance agreement with the Twin City Mall Community Improvement District and the Twin City Real Estate Corporation for stormwater improvements and establishing an effective date. Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Tinnin,
Yes.
Councilman Benz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Underwood.
Yes.
Motion carries. Bill 4674 is approved. Thank you, gentlemen. Every now and then and ladies, sorry. Every now and then we have the two cities have to come together on a project, and this happens to be one of them. And I appreciate you all saying, let's do it. We have Bill 4675 on the agenda. Would the clerk please read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 4675, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, amending the zoning map of said city as established by the planning and zoning ordinances of the City of Festus, Missouri, and establishing an effective date.
Staff report.
Good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. This is property formerly Boyer Automotive, 216 South Mill. They're looking to rezone it in order to operate a small automotive dealership there. It requires rezoning from B3 to, we're trying to shoot for B1, which is a more applicable zoning for that area. It also requires a conditional use if it's granted, to grant the rezoning. I'll add the owners of the property are here if you have any detailed questions as well.
Mark, what did P and Z do on this?
They rejected it. They rejected the recommendation.
May I ask one more question, or Greg or Mark? I tried my best to look at the zoning map on this, and it looked like this would be a singular zoning or spot zoning. Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, it would be a carve out in the B3 district, the downtown district.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Is there any other discussion?
Can we ask why zoning said no?
They just weighed the issue and rejected.
It would be a spot zone for starts. You know, it's not compact or contiguous to a B1 district. It's essentially taking a singular lot inside the B3.
So they're thinking that would cause an issue in the future and something like this?
It's possible. I mean, spot zoning is never recommended. Unfortunately, auto sales aren't allowed in downtown district. They're only allowed at the highway district and local business.
I would remind, we spent a lot of time working on updating our B3 zoning, looking for the types of businesses that would be able to work inside the B3 district. So you're making an exception here by one, providing them with the B1 zoning, but then on top of that, automotive sales is not permitted in B1 by right. It has to have a conditional use. So you're creating another set of special circumstances just for this one lot.
That's a residential house right by the garage, correct?
It is just to the south.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to suspend the rules and read Bill 4675 for the second time in title only?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please read Bill 4675 for the second time?
Bill number 4675, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, amending the zoning map of said city as established by the planning and zoning ordinances of the City of Festus, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. Councilman Cook,
Nay.
Councilman Tinnin,
No.
Councilman Benz,
No.
Councilman Weiner,
No.
Councilwoman Templeton,
No.
Councilman Underwood,
No.
Councilman Boyer.
Nay.
Bill 4675 has failed.
Thank you all for the consideration.
Next, we have Bill 4676. Would the clerk please read that bill for the first time?
Bill number 4676, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute a contract with Leak Stoppers to install a new roof membrane on the Public Works Maintenance Building, incorporating said contract as part of this ordinance and establishing an effective date.
Staff report.
This is as described in my bid report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and read Bill 4676 for the second time in title only?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none. Motion passes. Madam Clerk, would you please read Bill 4676 for the second time?
Bill number 4676, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute a contract with Leak Stoppers to install a new roof membrane on the Public Works Maintenance Building, incorporating said contract as part of this ordinance and establishing an effective date. Councilman Tenen.
Yes.
Councilman Benz.
Yes.
Councilman Underwood.
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton.
Yes.
Councilman Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Weiner.
Yes.
Councilman Boyer.
Yes.
Bill 4676 has passed. And we have Bill 4677 on the agenda. Would the clerk please read Bill 4677 for the first time?
Bill number 4677, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute a contract with Kimes Construction for the 2022 street project, incorporating said contract as part of this ordinance and establishing an effective date.
Staff report. We've just had it.
Yes, sir. Again, this is just as described, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there any other questions?
I should mention that the contractor believes he can start very quickly on this. So once we have a meeting here, I believe next week, I'll get dates out to you guys, and so you can share them with your constituents.
All righty. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to suspend the rules and read Bill 4677 for the second time in title only?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please read Bill 4677 for the second time?
Bill number 4677, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute a contract with Kimes Construction for the 2022 street project, incorporating said contract as part of this ordinance and establishing an effective date. Councilman Weiner.
Yes.
Councilman Boyer.
Yes.
Councilman Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Underwood.
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton.
Yes.
Councilman Tenen.
Yes.
Councilman Benz.
Yes.
Bill 4677 has passed. On tonight's agenda, new business.
We have a request by Influence Church for the street closure for Easter. Are you here, sir? You want to step up?
You may remember 2020, we actually got it approved to do this right before the pandemic, and we weren't able to do it, but we're proposing to shut down from Mill to Adams Street, right there in front of the old The Jade Theater where we do church out of. And so we plan on doing a fairly large free event for the community, just a Easter egg hunt down Main Street. And so a lot of giveaways, a lot of free stuff, and hopefully bring a lot of people in for Easter.
Is there any discussion?
Chief Lewis?
April 17th, yep, in the evening.
Is there any other discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to allow the street closure on April 17th for Influence Church. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Have your Easter egg hunt.
Next, we have a request for outdoor use, the Corner Cup.
Mayor, council members, I thank you very much for your time and consideration. My name is Carolyn Walton. My husband and I own the building at number 2 and number 4 Main Street. That's right at Briarton and Main. And we also own the Corner Cup Micro Bakery. And last year we had a birthday celebration and we extended our seating out to that parking space right in front of our building. And I was wondering, hopefully that we could do that for the summer months, for the warmer months, just to extend that seating and allow, because we need more space and we don't, right now we can't expand, and we have no seating in the back because Main and Mill have their building wraps right around ours. So I would ask you to please consider that, and that's it. We would do everything we could to make it attractive and to make it safe, and so.
Chief? What's the feeling about people sitting in the street?
Well,
Yeah.
it's a little dangerous. The only plus side, it literally is the last part of the street, in the city of Festus, across into Crystal.
It's pretty wide there too.
Yeah, that is a concern.
Okay.
If you're gonna have chairs there, cars literally driving right next to you, that's the biggest concern I
Okay.
have.
Would a temporary fence or something like that, or
It may look good, but I don't know if it would,
okay.
plastic cone would be very good if cars coming through there.
Is this for like every day you're wanting to do this for?
We're open Wednesday through Saturday, and so I mean, whatever you all think is appropriate, or
Mark, does that fit our zone? I mean, we have like so many parking spots for so many businesses, square miles. I mean, what about a traffic study? I mean, how's that parking spots? If we take them away, how's that play in?
Those parking spots are available for any business on Main Street. They're not restricted to just there.
No, I apologize. My question was worded horribly. I suck. Does it affect our ordinance for so many parking spots on a street or anything like that?
Yeah,
You know where I'm
Mike-
going?
Yeah, there isn't. It's interesting. So, because Dave Boyer and I just had this conversation not too long ago in relation to ADA and public street parking. Typically, you work off of the recommendations that they have for surface parking lots. We certainly meet and exceed the amount of parking as far as ADA requirements are. There is not a requirement for non-ADA spots. So there's no danger of getting into it there, so to speak. And I'll be honest, when they came in and asked about this earlier this week, I think if it's constructed properly, as almost if you want to view this as a pilot program, where we try it for a couple of days, for a limited period of time, with basically no overture that it would extend beyond the amount of time that you would approve it for. I think it would give us perhaps a good sampling of how a wider, more inviting sidewalk in downtown Festus might work. But again, I echo the chief's safety concerns. It is a public parking spot on a street. But I think with the proper notice, the proper barricades, it'd be a good experiment for them. And I know they've got you can see people out on those little bistro tables they put on the sidewalk Wednesday through Saturday. People use them all the time.
I know we have some good concrete flower boxes.
You know what? We can pile them all up right down there.
So
I will call my predecessor and see if he has a problem with that, okay?
Would it be just from a safety standpoint, what if it kind of extended into like maybe 2 spaces? So
I
that you
think-
could do something to,
I think we need to be very clear about what we're
Right.
going to allow.
just something to keep, that's my only concern is making sure that there's, people realize, hey, you're on
only-
the street. I
Right.
totally get it. And I love your shop, but I don't want to see anybody not realizing where they are and
Right.
stepping into traffic.
I think really,
Last year, we put a green carpet down, and that parking spot is huge in front of our building. So
I think the only thing you would, at the end of the day, is concern yourself with is if we decide that we're going to do something like this, odds are out of the great streets, there's probably going to be some recommendations to do some type of pilot program in the future. But if we allow them to do this today, it doesn't keep any of the other businesses from downtown saying, well, you allowed Corner Cup to do this. So what about me? So it's a balancing act. So do keep that in mind.
So you talking a trial for like a week, 2 weeks, a month? Or do you?
Up to you guys. I mean, they're asking for spring, summer. I think if you wanted to try something on a limited basis, I wouldn't want to get past 60 days and then perhaps have them come back and we can review if there's any problems. Well, if the weather isn't very nice between now and April 11th. It's a window. I mean, we're basically letting them be a guinea pig here.
60 days,
So
be April, May, so by June, we'd have an answer. I mean, to try it for 2 months, April and May.
Yeah, if I could just chime in here for a sec, I think what you're proposing is probably where Main Street is going. It's just a matter of, you're going to be the testing grounds, for this to happen.
Yeah.
So I would really hope that you would do your due diligence as best you can to make this as safe as you can.
yes.
And I'm sure you will, because keep in mind, this is kind of like an if-then statement, and you're the big if right now.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I would 1,000%, back you're doing this. And I would think that possibly because of the inclement weather in spring and everything, it may be like a 1 or 2 month trial period for this. And then we could review it at that time. And hopefully there haven't been people with, a lot of negative comments, and hopefully everything would be good by then. So, like you're the test grounds right now. So just do a good job.
No pressure.
And yeah, no pressure, but all of Main Street is dependent upon what you do. I mean, Twin Cities, yes. The
So,
future of Main
do
Street
you
depends
need to-
upon how well you do.
Thank you. Do you need to approve it before?
I have a
I
question.
mean, the actual area, once we set it up, can you come over and take a look and see what you think or
yeah.
some, right, right.
Mayor and Greg, what's your thoughts on requiring some type of orange fencing? Because I know how people can meander, and that's my fear.
Yeah, I think it needs to be, I think the parking space needs to be surrounded.
Yeah.
With whether they're the sawhorse barricades, a lot of orange safety fencing might be a little much. But certainly done in a way that is clearly marked.
I would be happy to acquire some concrete jersey walls that we could use for other things throughout the community. We can move those with our backhoe. They're of great utility,
Wow.
but I really, really, really think pedestrians and cars don't mix very good. I did a 25-minute interview this last week with KMOX on that corner.
On that, I saw you.
and there were lots of zoomy cars going by. So I would be happy to spend a couple $1,000s of taxpayers' dollars to afford this effort, and then we can use them in other places and other needs in the future. You know, Street Fest, we can really close the end of Street Fest now, and we don't have to worry about cars careening through like have happened in other street fairs throughout the United States. I think they're very useful. We can use these Jersey walls. I'm cautioned by the people being out there.
Yeah.
I know there's not gonna be alcohol, so that does
Yeah.
make it a little bit better, but
Just sugar high.
yeah,
I like the idea of
little
Jersey.
caffeine jitters maybe.
I like the idea of Jersey walls, but here's my concern. If we do it for one, we have to do it for all. So that's my concern. I'm all for buying them for us, for the city. But my fear is we're loaning out city stuff to a private events.
Well,
And what happens if Pogolinos wants it or?
It's a public
or-
street though,
And we're
I know.
putting
so
them
it's
on a
our
public street.
liability.
Yeah.
But you're creating a new policy on that.
I hear what you're saying, and I did obviously mention that I think if we make it very restricted, and I would obviously allow Mr. Malone to jump in here as well, but I think, yeah, he's on the call. But by giving it a very limited window for us to say, okay, we're going to try this for 60 days, and we're going to come back and evaluate it. And if it's at the end of the 60 days and it turns out it didn't work out, I don't think we're certainly under any obligation at that point to extend it to anyone else, because we found out that it was a traffic nightmare. It was a pedestrian nightmare. Hopefully there's none of those things that happen. We want everybody to have an enjoyable experience, but I think those are things we need to take into account. Brian, your 2 cents?
Sure. I think the move to make it temporary, if you're going to approve it, is probably advisable in the absence of an ordinance kind of otherwise dictating the conditions for this sort of activity. If you anticipate this being something that you want to extend to other businesses that you want to do with greater frequency, I'm aware that some cities have crafted ordinances specifying what kind of materials need to be put out in the street to keep people safe on tables and under what circumstances they can do that. I'd be happy to explore that further if that's something that the council is interested in considering as an ordinance.
I'd just like to say that if we're going to make this for a period of time, for 2 months, that at any time during that 2 months, that if things did look bad and we felt like we should shut it down like right now, that we would also have the ability to do that.
I think anything that council feels that needs to be done as a safeguard can be indicated in the minutes. In this very limited single circumstance, to allow them to do this for a window of time. And I echo Matt's suggestion. I think that those barriers, certainly we can use those all over the place. Would make things a lot safer. I will say, though, that thinking a little longer term here, as part of the Great Streets process, we've talked about doing what they call some piloting, where you say for 45 to 90 days, 60 days, you try different situations in this type of scenario here, using one of the spots as an opportunity to set up some tables for the almost like a little patio, if you will, for some of the downtown businesses on a larger scale. Probably will be one of the recommendations that comes out of the Great Streets process. So maybe getting a little taste of it now under the right conditions, wouldn't be a bad idea.
Greg, what if other restaurants hear of this and they're like, I think that's something I really want to do. Like if Main and Mill wants to do it, if the Brick wants to do it, if Pogolinos and so on, how do we address those questions at that time?
We just need to be very clear about what we're doing here. If you want to move forward with this, that we're very clear that this is a one-shot one business. I think they present some unique circumstances that make it safer than it would be anywhere else on the block because of their location.
I think we need an ordinance to cover this here and say allow so many businesses at a time, like two or something like that.
I don't want Brian to go through the undue extra work of crafting an ordinance if we're only going to try it in this one instance, see how it goes.
Pilot this one and then review the data.
Yeah.
So Greg, if I'm following this, so she's sort of gonna be setting the standard for any future reviews. So the nicer you do it, I guess I'm following this, the nicer you do it. And if you have no problems, we're not gonna accept any lower quality than what is done to begin with, right?
Correct.
Okay. So if we are gonna use the concrete barriers to help her, then we're not gonna really allow some orange cones and some orange tape. It's gonna have to be this or better.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But remember this, though, we're gonna tell some businesses no because it doesn't fit the model. That's where I'm stuck at on it. I'm stuck on people in traffic. And I'm a firm believer, we treat one business, we treat them all the same. If you want to close, if you want to do it on Main Street, if it doesn't fit, we'll tell you no. That's where I'm stuck at, because we're having a difference now. We're showing a difference in businesses in my small mind, and I'm stuck with that.
Well, Mike, I mean, I don't know if we should consider this or not, but it's not the city's problem that she doesn't have the extra seating, but it is also the location of the business. And, like Main and Mill, they use the parking lots, and I don't imagine you use the parking lots in the back.
No.
So, I mean, it's like, I totally agree with what you're saying. But it's like,
Street off and you're using Jersey balls bought by the city for a private situation. That's what I'm stuck on.
You're not closing the street off.
You're closing a parking spot off.
Parking spot on the street.
It's part of the street, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the street.
It is part of the street.
Just stuck on this one.
I think it's worth the pilot. If we determine after the pilot, it doesn't fit, it doesn't make sense, then we've tried it, we've given an opportunity. I think as far as if this were to become something that is going to be offered, it depends on the location. Is there back seating? Is there access to another part of the property? So it's dependent upon each individual business, but that's to be crafted in an ordinance. And at this point, we're not there. We might decide a month or 2 months into this that it really is not, something that we want to see. But I do have a question of, as far as liability. Does this leave us open to liability for having offered it? Granted, there's the potential of getting hit by a car getting out of your car. But does this leave us open?
Brian, do we need some type of waiver statement?
There's two, I guess, potential issues. One is, could this be construed as a dangerous condition on public property that could affect city sovereign immunity and potentially subject to liability? It's possible. And I guess the other issue is the liability that comes from if you allow her to do this and you have a similarly situated applicant who requests, similar temporary permission to do this. There is some possibility of a claim. How strong a claim depends a lot on the particulars of the business that makes the request. But those are at least possibilities to consider.
But of the other restaurants, at least on that side of the street, don't most of them have outdoor backside space? Main and Mill does.
they definitely have.
Quick does. Petite does. So
That's what
if you have available opportunity already on your confine of your property.
Even the brick's got a spot back too.
Yeah. Four Brothers and Best Kept, they have places.
So I think that's part of it as well. So I'm not saying, I'm just throwing it out there.
Is there any other discussion? Righty, I'll entertain a motion to approve A request for outdoor use at the corner cup parking spot. Roll call, please.
Well, we need a
We need a
motion.
motion.
Oh, I need a
I'll make the
motion.
motion.
Motion's been made and seconded.
What's your exact motion, Jim?
That she has a temporary use. I don't know if we're gonna call it temporary use permit or
60 days.
a 60-day pilot
Pilot
or
program.
however we're
There you
gonna
go.
word that. That she is,
Subject to city staff review.
right,
Okay, so that gets our street department, our police department, our fire department involved.
Yeah.
Much as we would do with our traffic calming, because that all is part of that process as well. So all of us would have a chance to take a look to make sure that her plan would meet some basic safety standards. And at the same time, we'll confer with legal related to any type of limited liability waiver of some sort that would give the city some protection during the 60-day window.
and should we put some wording in there? I mean, we're in agreement with this and as a temporary pilot, but we also, don't you think we need to put some wording in there that at any time during that 60-day period, if we find the customer is not in
Revoke it.
what did you say?
To revoke.
Compliance, there's a good word.
Right.
That we can shut them down.
Yep.
Yeah, is that fair?
Duly
Oh,
noted.
yeah, it is.
Okay. She's got a page full over here.
And you guys had the cinnamon rolls, right?
He gets right to the heart of the issue.
Oh, man.
But I make that motion, whatever, all we put in there.
Does your motion include the city to purchase the concrete barricades?
I mean, Matt,
It'll be over
I mean, should it
$1,000.
include that, Greg?
We don't have a price or anything. Whoa, what? No.
No.
that does scare me a little bit. It does because, we'll be moving concrete barriers around all over the place, but
We defer till next meeting. To have time to get bids on what the concrete
That's
barriers. are.
That's fine. I think you've all had a very good discussion this evening. And maybe having a little more detail from legal and as far as our requirements.
that's what I was gonna say. Maybe after discussing it with Brian, see what he thinks. I mean, I think it's a good idea, man. I agree with what Mike said over there too. I mean, we don't know how it's gonna open up into a huge can of worms or not, but I think your place is one of the few that doesn't have any good parking. I don't see Main and Mill. I mean, we've helped them out before. They have a huge parking lot behind them. And we've extended that for them. And I mean, it's like we've taken chances and it seemed to go pretty good. But if people get negligent and start doing goofy crap, then it's shut down. It's pretty simple, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of tied to this. What do we do now for when Main and Mill has their fest to block off the street?
We put the sawhorses.
Yeah, we put some
That's it.
horses in a
That's
trash
it.
can.
So I think.
That's a little problematic of in and of
I
itself.
agree.
So
I agree
I'll go
100%.
to, again, Matt saying that
I think it's
if
fine.
there is a concern about the cost of the Jersey barricades, that they will get used again.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think providing greater safety, whether the church is having, an event over April and being able to put those out there when there's kids in the area and make sure that street is, when it's closed, it's closed.
wasn't
you're
that
gonna-
last year when the parade, somebody went through a parade
Yeah,
barricade?
yeah, down in Texas.
Yeah, so I think it's time.
Well, I think maybe we find out more information about it, and just in case we turn it over, there's a lot of kids that could be played out there at the time. And one of those kids get hit, they get hurt bad. This City Hall could be in big trouble, big trouble.
I think this is a great problem to have, frankly, that we're concerned about the safety of pedestrians, of motorists. And in order for downtown to grow, this is a feeler for us to figure out how it's going to proceed. So I'm glad it's happening. And safety needs to be in abundance here. And I'm glad the city is involved with this.
We had Jim's motion.
Would he want to amend his motion?
Would you like
for us
to-
To have a staff report recommendations for the meeting on April 11th?
I mean, if that's what you guys think, I mean, yeah.
The motion's been made
A second.
and seconded. And we'll bring it back on the 11th after we get a staff report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. We're gonna look at it and bring it back
Yeah.
on the 11th of April.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your wisdom and that you care. I really do. That means a lot. So thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Any old business? Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of audit.
You better not pass over the finance.
No, I don't want to.
Watch out, watch out.
You just called her own business.
Yes, you did. Good evening, everyone. In your packet, you will find my staff report for the audit and the about 70 pages from Stop and Be Annoyed. So do any of you have any questions about the audit report?
Was there anything that surprised you from the audit?
No, they just had two comments that were previous to me. And they're noted on the staff report, but it's something that we haven't done due to costs. If that's something that you guys want us to look at in the future, but other than that, they do, we had a lot of contributed revenue because of the CARES Act this year. So we have to be careful if we are moving that in between the funds to make sure that that is done through a budget amendment. But other than that, everything was clean. So my staff and I, we spent a lot of time on this along with the departments too. So I'm thankful that it came out like it did.
I know you spend a lot of time on this, Stephanie, so thank you.
It's a team effort for sure. So I will need a motion for you to approve the audit report,
To accept it.
to accept it.
So moved.
Oh, the motion's been made and seconded to accept the audit report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. We accept the audit report.
Thank you very much.
Good job, Stephanie. Now, is there any old business?
No, sir.
Councilman Tenon.
I just want to thank all you guys for using good judgment and wisdom for new ideas. And I appreciate the fact that, there's the lady was just up there, there's situations that can go bad, but, at some time or another, we do have to look at people are trying to grow our Main Street for us, and if we just close our eyes and turn our head, we're never gonna get that place booming any better than it is. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Councilman Vins.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Thank you. Councilwoman Templeton.
Thank you to Public Works for taking care of the not so pretty shrubbery and stuff along Scenic North Mill. So that was a nice improvement. And also and I do not know who this gentleman was at the park, but had one of my dogs at the park on Friday with my daughter, and he stopped by in the city truck and offered Bodie a milk bone, which was greatly appreciated by this really malnourished dog that I have. But that kind of stuff, because my daughter was absolutely, people do that like we do here. So thanks to him, because people do. I know that seems really small, but that's what people expect in a small town, is that somebody's gonna, be in a city truck and make sure to be, welcoming and open to people. So to whoever that gentleman was, tell him thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Councilman Underwood.
I have nothing, sir. I would like to say thank you to all the people that have inquired, asked about different people on the state And that's all I have to say.
All righty, thank you. Councilman Cook.
Matt and Greg, I apologize. Usually I swing by and ask questions, and I thought I had good notes on this darn thing, so forgive me for the questions on the bids. Thanks for amending it and doing a staff report. I'll be a lot more comfortable on the event. I agree 100% with you, Jim, totally. If we just keep saying no, then we're not going to grow, so I appreciate that. I had a request from Tracy Johnson, Terrence Wilkerson, and a couple of texts I'd like to have the council consider, maybe not discuss it tonight since it's been a longer meeting, unless you're comfortable. There's supposed to be a celebration, I hope I say this right, for Juneteenth. And they're asking for the city to recognize it since it's a federal holiday for the employees as well. So I told them I would bring it to their attention and to the council's attention and maybe for discussing it. Is it something, Greg, you want to discuss tonight, or Mayor, or you want to put it on the April 11th?
I don't have any problem discussing it if we want to do it now or later. I know Juneteenth is a holiday that's certainly been getting a lot more talk of late. It is a federal holiday. It's been considered at the state and county level as well. If council wanted to amend the paid holiday schedule, it would add our 14th holiday to the paid schedule. It's a substantial date in our history. It's important, I think, to our entire community, but certainly to our African-American community. So I don't have any objections to whether you want to discuss it tonight or at April 11th meeting.
Let's discuss it tonight.
That's what I was going to ask you, sir.
Yep, it's okay with me.
So it's under my comment. So may I open the floor up for discussion then?
Sure.
Okay.
Any discussion?
It's a nationally recognized holiday, correct?
Yes.
Right. So is there like a budget implication or anything that we have to think about? Okay.
I mean, the salaries are already in the budget. There would be obviously for police and anybody that would be working on the holiday, we would get holiday pay and shift pay at the same time. Yeah, so there would be a not substantial, but there would be a budget consideration. It is a national holiday.
Yeah, it's a national holiday, so therefore it should be a local holiday also.
Is there any other discussion? It is a national holiday. It should be a Festus holiday.
I'll make the motion, sir, to amend our calendar to make Juneteenth a city holiday.
I'll second it.
And for the record, just so that everyone knows, Juneteenth falls on a Sunday this year. So it would be observed on Monday. And our typical with our holidays, if it were to fall on a Saturday, it would be observed on the Friday before. So everyone's okay with that. That's how we do all the other holidays. Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Juneteenth is now a Festus holiday also.
I'd like to thank everybody because I had several people reach out to me. And then, Mr. Mayor, last what I have is Chief, tell Patrolman Davis, is that correct? A big congratulations. That's awesome. And I wish I had a chance to talk to him, but they had to go. I understand. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Weiner.
I'd just like to concur with Councilwoman Templeton on the scenic drive. They've done a really nice job up there cleaning it up and hasn't looked that nice for as long as I can remember. So thank you. Yeah.
We're making progress.
Yeah.
The city of progress is definitely working up there. Yeah. Matt, you're going to have you're being part of an energy audit, I believe, in town here.
Yes, sir.
And so on. So if, and I've spoken with Greg a time or two, maybe if we could look at incorporating maybe some solar energy into our portfolio.
Absolutely.
I think that would be something worth looking into. They could not only be cost savings, but it would also define ourselves as a city of progress.
Yeah.
So
Greg already, I think he anticipated that would be your wish. And so we've already talked to the consultant about it. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
we'll make sure we'll see it through to fruition.
Okay. And on the comment about the ice or the bone for your dog. Yes. So part of a small town is my frustration that people are so nice. When you're at a stop sign, they insist on you going first. So if that's the worst thing that I can get mad about, that's pretty good.
It's like, hey, you're not a traffic cop.
Exactly. That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Councilman Boyer.
Wanted to thank Matt, your crew for the utility cut over in Buffa. That concrete turned out real nice over there. And you guys stayed up with it. And it was just gravel, I know, and that worked out good because a lot of traffic travels that road.
And we put it back at cement. The asphalt plants just aren't open, and leaving it the way that it was dangerous, a hazard to drivers. So we got it fixed. It was the right choice.
Yeah, it looks good. It's real smooth. The South Adams Park over there. Don't want to forget about the ramp and the walkway and the steps.
We're on it.
Got it. Okay, buddy. Thank you. And what's the next step over to pickleball court there on
Well, Josh has been doing some work over there. The guys have really made, I don't know if you saw my Friday report. A lot of the drainage has been addressed mainly because of the amount of water that the parking lot was retaining. But I think once they wrap things up, were you able to get in there Friday or today?
It's, we may have to make a couple more cross cuts.
Okay.
We're gonna need another rain, we might get Wednesday.
Okay.
So Judge, if we're gonna have to take 2 or 3 more to the old berm.
Okay.
To dump them off, but pretty confident that the one we did will probably take care of the majority of it. And maybe even some asphalt work at the entrance.
Mhm.
We can get a curb built up, because that's where about 90% of that water's coming from, down the slide and into the parking lot.
coming off the street.
Yes.
Once we get that squared away, he's been conferring with Jim for them to be able to utilize that full amount for the pickleball courts. As opposed to just doing repairs, they'd be able to do a resurfacing. But I think Josh and his guys will get the drainage knocked out in no time.
I know several of the pickleball players, and they're always asking me questions on it. So know what to tell them. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All righty, thank you. Well, I think we've had a productive meeting tonight. Had some good discussions. We're moving forward. That's what we want to do. And if there's not any other comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. This meeting